Hola besties, welcome back to my channel. JavellAshanti here. Today I'm here to talk about my books that I read in the month of August. You guys know I'm a romance girly. I love romance. So many romance. So I read so many romance books this month. I read so many summer romance. I'm also in my thriller era. I love a good psychological thriller. I also think it's because fall is quickly approaching, and for me fall really does symbolize spooky season, also cozy season but spooky season. And so I'm loving psychological thrillers, suspenseful thrillers right now. So I've read and I've bought a few thrillers this month. So if you've read any of these books I'm about to talk about, definitely leave a comment down below. But let's get into it. If you haven't subscribed yet, definitely go ahead and subscribe to my channel for more, and let's get into the video. The first book I want to talk about is a book that I don't actually have the physical copy, so I want to talk about it before I forget about it. It is The Way I Used to Be by Amber Smith. I've never read anything by her before. This is a YA book, which I'm not the biggest fan of YA, but this book was so freaking good. It is a part of a series. I think it's 2 books in that series. I read book 1. Now this book is about Eden. She's in middle school or high school. I believe she was a freshman in high school, and they're on winter break. Something weird happens right before going back to school when her brother, who's in college, visits with his best friend who's also in college. This book has SA in it, so definitely look up the trigger warnings. I would not consider this book romance at all. It's actually pretty sad. Now the brother's best friend, I hope this is not a spoiler, but the brother's best friend SAs her, and that kind of changes her entire life because now she doesn't tell anyone. She doesn't really know how to navigate the situation, and she changes completely, and now she's on a path of self-destruction to kind of numb herself from what she's really feeling. So very sad book. It's a very sad story. Sorry about my phone. How do I put this thing on? Silent. Silencio. It's a very sad book. It's very good. It kept me engaged, but it's very sad. Definitely look up the trigger warnings, but it was very well written. I'm kind of interested in reading part 2 because I really want to know exactly where does this go. Does it pick up from Eden's story where it ends? This book is actually so insane, and it's really good though. I really liked it. Let me look what my rating was. I rated it 4 stars. I really did like it. It's probably not a 5-star for me just because I don't really like YA reads. Now, moving on. The next book I read is 7 Summers by Paige Toon. Now this is my first book by her. I've never actually read anything by her before. This is a summer read. It was so good. Now this book is about Liv and Finn. They met and they instantly hit it off, and they have this really good connection, and something very tragic happens and it kind of binds them for together for life. Now Finn leaves the island or the area that they live, and he goes to a different area. I can't remember where they live, but he leaves and he keeps coming back every summer, and now they have a little pact that if they're single they will be together every summer. So they keep going back and forth every summer, and they have a really strong connection. They're bounded by something really tragic, so they have this really tight bond. Now this particular summer, on the 7th summer, a new guy comes to the island, and Liv, who's the main character, meets him, and they have this undeniable bond. They just really hit it off, and now this makes things a little bit weird for when Finn comes back. This book has second chance romance. It has really strong themes in it, like grief and forgiveness, and just a whole lot of different things. It's still a good read. I love a good summer romance. I love anything that somebody keeps coming back. I think those are pretty good, and so I really like this. I rated this a 4 or 5 stars. I can't remember, but I really liked it, and I thought it was so good. Next book I read is by Carly Fortune, who's one of my favorite authors ever. If anybody is gonna hold down the summer, Carly Fortune will. She never misses. This is my 3rd book by her. All her books are summer themed. All her books are second chance romances, and I live for it. Now this book is about a girl who is vacationing on Prince Edward Island, where she meets this guy on the first night, and they hit it off and they hooked up. Immediately after hooking up and spending the night with him, she finds out that it's her best friend's brother. They make a pact to never tell her best friend, and also to never do it again. Except they can't deny the chemistry that they feel for each other. It's like magnets pulling them together. Also, they kind of just really connect. on deeper levels. It's kind of insta-lovey a little bit, but like you get why. They just get each other, and it's just different. Now they're trying to avoid each other. They're trying to like not let her best friend find out that they hooked up. They keep going back and forth from the island. The book picks up where the best friend just ran away to the island, and the main character has to go and kind of like save her because she's supposed to get married in a week, and she disappears without telling anyone, and she needs to find out what's going on. Is this wedding going to happen or not? While she's there, guess who's there? The best friend's brother. And she's trying to help her best friend, and she's also trying to figure out her feelings for her love interest, and it's so fun. It's so good. It's not a super thick book, but it's like so well written that you just like are on a roller coaster, and it's like the best kind. It's so fun. It's so good, and I don't know, I just love their connection in here. It kind of just felt like they really got each other. There was no miscommunication, there was no confusion. They both just understood what each other needed, or they understood what each other felt. It felt super deep to me. I really like the main characters. Her characters are always like super lovable. They're always so cute, and I would rate this book a 5-star. I definitely love anything by Carly Fortune, to be completely honest. She's just so good. Our next book I read is by Rebecca Sturl. It is One Italian Summer. Now, I've never wanted to go to Italy until I've read this book, and that might be weird because everybody wants a European summer. But until I've read this book, I've never like fantasized about like a European summer until then. But this book is about a girl whose mom recently passed, and she had a trip planned with her mom. Now her mom passed and she still has the tickets, and not only does she decide to get a divorce from her husband, but she also decides that she needs to go on this trip by herself, even though she can't go with her mom anymore, and that was the original plan. This book is so heartbreaking. It's so sad. I feel like the main theme in here is grief, and it can be like a little bit overwhelming for me, like somebody who's like dealing with like a lot of grief, but it's still so good. And it's about a girl who she goes to Italy by herself, and as soon as she gets there, she meets someone who's the like younger version of her mom, and she's freaking out. It's literally her mom back in like her 30s before she had children, and she's freaking out, but she uses it as an opportunity to like connect with her mom again. It's such a good book. I love anything by Rebecca Sturl because it's like a psychological warfare. It like works with your brain so bad. I really like this book. It was very sad, but it was also very good, and it's just a captivating book. Let's just say that. I really liked it. I'd rate this like a 4.5. The next book I read is by Frida McFadden. She is my go-to author for psychological thrillers. I've read quite a few books by her, and I genuinely enjoy her. She creates page turners. Like, I've never DNF'd any of her books. She's just that good. Now, this book that I read is The Inmates by Frida McFadden. It tells the story of Brooke Sullivan. She is a nurse practitioner. She just moved back to her hometown, and she's not able to get any jobs. The only job she's able to get is a job at a maximum security prison. Now fast forward, or like rewind back, 10 plus years ago, Brooke, when she was 16, she was almost brutally murdered by her boyfriend. It tells the story of one night her and her friends and her ex-boyfriend are all at his house because his mom's out of town. They're literally like 16-year-olds, but they're spending the night out, okay? We don't question it. They're spending the night when previously, before that, random girls in their neighborhood would go missing and they would end up murdered. Now fast forward to the night that they're all spending the night at his house. One by one, everyone who's at his house starts to pop up dead. They're murdered. Why is somebody dog barking in my video? He goes to jail for her murder, or for trying to kill her, and also killing everyone else at the house. Now the only people who survived was the murderer, Brooke, who's the main character, and Brooke's best friend, who's also a guy. Now Brooke starts working at this maximum security prison that her ex-boyfriend / murderer is also at, and she has to interact with him because she's basically the only provider who works there. Now while she's there, she starts to question whether he was the one who tried to kill her that night or not. next book I read is by Anna Huang. Now, I love this woman down, but I will confess, I DNF'd this book. It is If We Ever Meet Again by Anna Huang. This is book 1 of the If Love series. Now, did I give it as long as I should have? Probably not. I read up to page 39 before I was like, this is not making any sense, and I DNF'd it. I will probably go back and try to finish it for the month of September, but I was not feeling it. It is about a girl who is studying a year abroad. She's in Shanghai. She's there. She meets this guy, and he is like her best friend's boyfriend, or he becomes her best friend's boyfriend. I'm not exactly sure what the situation was, but it wasn't heating up as fast as it should have, or I would have preferred for a book that's this thin. So I DNF'd it. I didn't finish it. If you've read this book and you've actually really liked it, you enjoyed it, please let me know. I know this is Anna Huang's like latest series, but I was not feeling it, and I feel like I can't spend too long like reading a book that I don't enjoy, because then that puts me in a reading slump. So I DNF'd this. I won't give it a rating until I actually finish it in September, if I do finish. Another Anna Huang book I read this month is from the Kings of Sin series. This is King of Sloth by Anna Huang, and let me tell you, she redeems herself with this book. I'm obsessed with her. I'm obsessed with her books. She's the author of the Twisted series, and she's the author of the Kings of Sin series, and they're both so good. All her books are 5-star reads for me, except King of Pride. I wasn't really obsessed with that one. It was a little bit too tame, but if you love any kind of like billionaire romance, Anna Huang is your girl. Now, King of Sloth, this was a 5-star read for me. It tells the story of Sloth Kensington and Xavier Castillo, and another reason why I was obsessed with this book is because he's Latino, and I love my Latino men. Like, they just do it for me. Now, Sloth is his publicist, and she doesn't really like him too much, but he does find her very attractive, and he really likes her, and I think he enjoys pushing her buttons. Now, she's his publicist, and her job is to keep him out of trouble, keep his image clean, keep his reputation clean, but he doesn't like that very much. He feels like she's his babysitter. Also, his dad's like dying, so he has to be ready to take over this empire, and it's just a lot going on between like them and, you know, the whole dad passing away, and it's a lot going on. It's a pretty thick book, but it's so good. It's spicy. It's not as spicy as the other ones, but it's pretty good. I loved it so much. Like, their chemistry together. Anna Huang just does really good job at like having like the grumpy guys, even though he wasn't super like, you know, grumpy, mysterious, but like she does such a good job at like making the guys like hate everyone except like the main character. Like, they're just always the best. I'm obsessed with like all her male characters. But this book was so cute. This was a 5-star read for me. If you love billionaire romances, don't walk, but run to your local bookstore to get these. This series and the Twisted series, they're so good. Last book that I read for the month of August is Summer Romance by Annabelle Monaghan. Now, this is my girl. This is my second book by her. Last summer I read Every Summer After, I believe, and that was by her, and I loved it so much. Her imagery is so good. I feel like she does such a good job at like creating, like, you feel like you're there, or like you can picture exactly like what is going on in that moment. Like, she's so good at imagery. Also, I feel like she's an author who doesn't write one more word than she needs to, and that's why her books are this size, which makes it so much more enjoyable. Like, she's very like to the point. It's good. Everything flows, and so I love it so much. Summer Romance by Annabelle Monaghan is another summer romance by her that she did her big one. Okay, so this book is about Allie, who she's going through a divorce. Her mom has recently died, and her husband just isn't shit. And she's a professional organizer. She's also like an influencer. She does like influencing content, which I love reading books about like influencers, content creators, because like it's so new, but it's like, I don't know, it's just very relatable. So she does like her creating content, and she's a mom, and she meets this guy. Now, the guy that she's met, he's very like, he's from a different area, so it's giving long distance relationship low-key, but he's spending the summer there, and they kind of hit it off. He connects really well with her children, except she cannot like leave her area that she lives at. That's where her life is. That's where her kids are. And he lives in another area, and he cannot leave his area because that's where his life is. That's where he's created his community, and that creates a little bit of a situation for them where she feels like she can't open up too much because she'll be, you know, she'll be left heartbroken at the end of summer. It's such a cute read. It's so good. It's nice to see books where the mom like has children, but then she still has another opportunity to like meet a good guy and fall in love. Like, it's not impossible. And so even though this is like a little bit out of like my era, I still enjoyed it so much, and I don't know, I really liked it. Also, she does talk a lot about losing her mom and what that's like for her, which, you know, is very like, I don't know, it's like therapeutic, even though my mom's very much alive. I feel like books that the characters are going through kind of like the same thing that you're going through, it makes you feel seen, even though you know these aren't real people, but it captivates you in a way that is so relatable. A lot of times in grief you can feel alone, but I feel like in this book the main character, she was so like articulate. I just love all her summer romance books. They're just so fun, they're so good, and I'm definitely excited to read more things by her. That is all I have for my August reads. Thank you guys so much for watching. Definitely comment down below if you've read any of these books and your thoughts, your opinions. Also, let me know what you are reading for September. Maybe I'll read with you. Let me know, and definitely subscribe. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you guys so much, and thank you for all the nice comments. Y'all are so real. I love y'all so much, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye, bestie.